They can't get away with this. And that's the most important thing, is that the 158,000 members of the IRR who have served honorably and been discharged from the military have a right to speak out publicly. And the proponents of the Iraq policy, clamor on about supporting the troops and supporting the veterans. Then when it comes time to listen to them and let them speak their mind, they want to hit us with something like this, and frankly it's a slap in the face. And as someone who loves the Marine Corps, I'm particularly offended to see it used for political ends in this way. We hope to properly establish the precedent that members of the IRR are not subject to the UCMJ, that after having served honorably, if you're in that IRR on that list, and your only responsibility is to maintain a proper address and you're a civilian until you're called back, that you have at least the rights of any American citizen, no less, no more. Really what's at stake here is freedom of speech for the thousands and thousands of people who are still in the inactive reserve, who consider themselves civilians. And it's particularly offensive to see their voices stifled, because they're among the most important and the most pressing debate before the nation today. When I joined the Marine Corps in 1999, at the age of 17, I did so for a sense of duty and out of patriotism. I continue that today by voicing my dissent as a veteran of the occupation of Iraq. In the words of Thomas Jefferson, dissent is the highest form of patriotism. When I participated in Operation First Casualty, I was not intending to represent the government, the Department of the Defense, the Army, the Marine Corps, or any other part of the government. I was representing myself as a veteran and Iraq veterans against the war. The voices of the recently honorably discharged veterans of this conflict are the most relevant and the most pressing debate before the nation today. The fact that the Marine Corps is being used to intimidate those people is what offends me more than anything. As someone who loves the Marine Corps, who always has loved the Marine Corps, I'm particularly offended to see it used for political ends. Clearly, this is a case of selective prosecution, but I have to ask, to those proponents of the current administration's policies, if the cause in Iraq is so just and so righteous, why are you so afraid of the truth? Why is it necessary to silence the voices of veterans, to remove them of their credibility, to prevent them from wearing their uniforms while expressing their freedom of speech? When I received the email from Major John White that I was being investigated for possible violations of the DoD directives regarding the wearing of the uniform, I knew that the Uniform Code of Military Justice was not supposed to apply to members of the IRR. And I was deeply offended to see that Marine Corps resources and taxpayer dollars were being used to investigate the political activities of an inactive reservist. I expressed that in my email and chastised him for wasting his time while Marines are dying every day in Iraq on such a trivial political issue. Instead of letting the issue go, the Marine Corps decided to discharge me or recommend me for a discharge under other than honorable conditions. In order to do that, they need to allow for me to have a right to a hearing where I can call witnesses and contest the actual legal points of this case. We hope to win this on the point that the UCMJ should not apply to members of the IRR on behalf of the 158,000 members of the IRR who have served honorably and are entitled to the full rights of citizens today. Thank you.
This case is important because it affects hundreds of thousands of Iraq and War on Terror veterans. As the first of a number of cases where the military is seeking to stifle political speech of IRR civilians, we need to draw a line in the sand now in order to protect the First Amendment rights of others who may have picked up a rifle in defense of our country. Free speech rights of recently discharged veterans should not be inferior to that of those who may not have served. I expect to deliver that message directly during the course of these proceedings. The type of hearing that Adam Kokesh and other IRR civilians are facing is almost exclusively limited to inherently criminal acts such as drugs or violence, not peaceful political statements. Politicians and military officials are quick to tell the media that we must support our veterans. But seeking to make political speech that was spoken by a civilian veteran into, as the Marines say, a dishonorable act of misconduct and a serious offense is certainly not supporting our nation's veterans. Finally, I just want to add that the Marine Corps asked for this fight. We're going to bring it to their turf in Kansas City, and we are going to give it to them.